Welcome back to Lamb's Cryptoverse. Today, first of all, I'm going to educate you. This is not financial advice. Remember that. It's for your entertainment. So today, I'm going to once again attempt at explaining how I understand conflicting data on signals, basically indicators that tell me if the market or crypto, if the equity market or crypto market is going up and down. How do I do that? I tried to do this before with some other videos, but it was confusing. So I'm just going to focus on only one metric just to make things easy. So let's do this in real time and see if I could finally explain it clearly. So let's get started. I'm just looking at my notes here. The first thing I want to talk to you about is what's going on with Bitcoin. So we're going to go to the chart here for Bitcoin, and we can see that, oops, let me minimize myself here. Okay, you can see here that Bitcoin's been going up a lot, and I've got it going up 11% and then you can see here 11% in green, or 10.6. And you can see that this is GBTC. GBTC is up almost 6%. Of course, the difference between Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust, and Bitcoin itself, the underlying, is that there's a huge discount, as you know, in Grayscale. But that's not the point. The point is that Bitcoin's been going up like crazy. So that's bullish, right? So I'm trying to figure out, is Bitcoin going to go more? Is it going to decline? And one way, this is only one way of looking at it is looking at sentiment. And sentiment here is that extreme fear. And when it's extreme fear, remember, this is a contrarian indicator. So as a contrarian indicator, it's telling me that Bitcoin's going to keep going up because everyone's fearful. And this is Bitcoin. This is the 1 year history. And you could see we're not at extremely low levels, but we're at pretty low levels of fear. But here's the deal. Now I want to answer the question, how do you interpret these indicators? Well, first I look at what Bitcoin is doing, the underlying. And Bitcoin's rising. And then I see what the sentiment indicator is doing. So the sentiment indicator is bearish. It's saying that people are scared. That doesn't make sense. When Bitcoin is rising, this indicator should be rising towards greed. It's not happening. So then I look at other indicators. Do they make sense? Well, this one here from BTC Tools is saying we're headed towards greed, and it's worked well historically. I checked it back here. It worked really well here and here and here. And then you can look at other indicators like the indicator from Augmento, which is going towards greed too. It's moving up. It was a low here of 0.13. Now you can see here we're at 0.361. We're not at greed, but we're getting there fast. So to me, that's telling me that we're headed towards greed territory, and that from a contrarian point of view, Bitcoin should decline. But just to confirm that, what I would do is go to my notes here and say, I should be looking outside the Bitcoin market. And if you look outside the Bitcoin market and you look at stocks, for example, you could see the market was up a lot today. The Nasdaq was up 1.3%. If you look at the last 5 days, it's been going up like crazy, right? It bottomed out in beginning of September, I believe, and it's been going up sharply, and the same for all the other indices. So the equity market is very bullish. I shouldn't say it's bullish. Equity market's been going up. So then we go to the equity sentiment indicators, and let's just choose one to make life simple. We're going to choose the CNBC Fear Greed Index, and it's at neutral, but it's headed towards greed. And how do I know that? I know that by looking at the timeline here, and you could see that it's headed up again. And remember, I went bearish on August 15th when we were at greed, and now we're headed again towards that greed area. So I think that covers everything. I didn't want to confuse everyone. Let's go back to the videotape, back to the notes, and go over the 3 things I want to talk about. So, number 1, the question was, what do you do when you get different signals? Number 1, you see if they make sense. And they don't make sense. When stocks and Bitcoin are going up, sentiment indicators should be getting greedy. And so some of them weren't and some were. So I'm interpreting that we're getting greedy. I'm choosing the sentiment indicators that are getting greedy. Why? Because it makes sense, and because most of them are getting towards greed territory. And 2 or 3, I should say, I look at outside. If we're looking at Bitcoin and crypto, I look outside of those markets to see if we get confluence. And so when I look outside to other indicators, such as the one I just showed you here on CNN, I should say, they're moving towards greed. So I hope this video is better than the other one. So basically, that's what I do. I look to see if they make sense, and I look to see what outside indicators are saying, to see if we're getting confluence. And so to answer everyone's question, how do I interpret these indicators? I'm interpreting them bearishly because they're moving towards greed. So the 1 or 2 indicators that are not saying that, I'm discounting. I'm not counting those indicators of sentiment because they don't make sense. So always look to see if it makes sense. Remember, anytime an asset goes up, any asset, whether it's real estate, cryptocurrency, equities, whatever, mortgage-backed securities, anytime the market goes up for a certain amount of time, especially consecutive days, that means you should be lowering your risk, doing the opposite. Okay, just think of it that way. Always think of it from a risk management point of view, and then I think you would do pretty well. So thank you all for listening, and I hope this video was better than other ones. And don't forget to like us. Bye bye.